Welcome. Today we are going to learn some Excel. This comes as a part of the daily MBA preparation series that we have started, where every day I'm learning something new related to MBA, making notes on them and sharing them with all of you. So this comes as a part of that. We have already finished first 4 days where we've learned a lot of statistics from an Ahmedabad statistics course. And now that we have finished a lot of statistics, we are shifting gears and now we are learning some Excel. Where am I learning this from? I'm learning this from a particular playlist on YouTube by Trump Excel. They have a particular playlist for beginners to advanced course where they start right from the beginning. That is how to type things in the Excel workbook to the advanced things that are there in Excel. So I highly recommend you watch that as well. I'll put the link of their playlist down in the description. So let's get started. Let's get started with today's video and let's learn something. So the first thing that I learned was very interesting. That is how to convert unformatted data to formatted data. And that is something I felt was interesting because unformatted data on Excel looks like really boring, and formatted data looks something like this. This is so much more interesting and so much more understandable. So this is a data on the platform on which subscribers watch the Showikpreneur YouTube channel. And this is not real data. I've just put some dummy data right now for us to understand how this works. Over here, you can see a lot of different things. There's a background color to these cells. There's a font color which has been changed. So these are two important things: background color, font color. The third thing is borders. How do we put borders? There's this particular option over here called borders. So you can select that. So right now I'm using, by the way, the online free Excel workbook. I'm using this because Microsoft 365 is actually paid. Those who have Windows laptops might have it with you, but if you don't have it with you, it's all right because Microsoft Excel has a free version of it online, which you can use completely for free, by the way. And once we go to our specific Bschools as a student, we anyways are a student and we get free access to Microsoft 365. So we don't have to worry about all of this there. But right now we can use the free version, which is online version. That's all right. So the first two things were background color and font color. The third was border. The next is bold or more font options. That is to change. So let me write something over here, which is, for example, let me go back to the unformatted cells. Okay, here let me write. There's an amazing pre-MBA series by Showik. This is a piece of text over here. Now, how do I format this into bold or something like that? There's this option here called bold. If I select this, everything over here becomes bold. Now, what is the other cells? You can see over here, there's more font options, which we are talking about. In this option, you can make something italic, you can make it underlined, and everything else that you need. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about when I say bold or more font options. The next thing that we want to see is font type, which you can very clearly see over here, which is font type. It's written over here as well, font type. The next is font size, which you know is over here. So I'm not going through, I'm not digging deep inside these easy things that we all know. Then there's alignments, which we all know. This is an alignment tab. This is left align, center, and right align. Then there is the up, middle, and down alignment inside a cell. So this is middle aligned. Then there is merge and unmerge. So what is merge and unmerge? Merge is basically, you can see these are three different cells, right? What we can do is we can select all of these three and we can say let's merge it. So this is a merge option. This is how it looks. We can click on this and this now has become one particular. So whatever we type is inside this one particular cell. Now let's go to the next thing, which is under view type tab, grid lines, check and uncheck. What is this? You can see that there's no grid. There's grid over here and there's no grid over here. It's completely blank. How do we do that? We go inside the view tab. Okay, here there's the view tab. Then we can see there's these check boxes. In these check boxes, you can see this grid lines checkbox. If we click on that, the grid lines come back. If we click on that again, the grid lines go. So that is how we do that. Then there's formulas for clean looking data. For example, look over here, a formula. This is percentage. Let's look at the data. Okay. So on TV, there are 1,532 number of users. On laptop, there's 8,994 number of users. On tablet, there's 845 and so on. Over here, I've put it as a percentage of the total number of users. Now, to put this as a 7.96%, there's a formula that I've used. Look over here. It's round up B3 by B7 which is basically B3 is this number by B7 is the total number. Did that, and then it is multiplied by 100, which gives us the percentage, and it's rounded to 2 decimal places. That is the round up function. It's a formula, and then it gives us 7.96. Okay, let me show you what it will look like without the formula. Let's just say equals, let's say this is B3 by B7 multiplied by 100. This is how it will look like. But because we're using a formula, we have it in a much more clean format, which is 7.96. Now the next thing that we are going to see is wrap text. Wrap text is basically if we have a long piece of text that goes beyond the actual cell, we can actually go over here in home, and we can say, we can click this. This is a wrap text. So everything comes inside this one particular cell. It wraps inside the cell. All right. But obviously the height of the cell will be changed. It will increase. The next thing is format painter, which is how to copy a format from one cell to the other. So for example, let's go over here. Let's write something like copy this format. Let's do some formatting here. Let's make this bold. Let's make this with a background color of orange. Now let's write something over here. For example, hello. Now we want this format to be copied over here. How do we do that? We select this cell. We go over this one particular option called format painter. We click on that, and then we come here and just click this particular cell, and this format gets painted here. It gets copied. That's how we do that. All right. The next thing is comments. That is shift plus F2. So for example, we want to put a particular comment over this particular cell. What do we do is we click shift and F2, and this is a box that opens up. We can write over here, this is the lowest percentage, and we can press outside. You can see there's one red button over here, or the red arrow. If we hover on that, the comments open up. This I think will be particularly useful in group projects when we have online documents like this, and we need to look at comments that each other that we have made inside the group. All right. The next thing is tab color. The tab color is this basically. You can see this unformatted tab has no color, but this formatted tab has a color. How do we do that? We right click on this and we go to tab color and change the color. So for example, let me make this green color. Now it's green. Looks good, right? This is much more aesthetic and pleasing, but also utilitarian, because for large data sets where we have multiple sheets inside one workbook or one Excel book, what happens is that we need to color code them, and that makes us easier. That makes our life easier. So that is why there's this tab color in this option as well. So these are the basic tools that are required for formatting. I hope you understood. Just play around with your own Excel as well, so you can get a hang of this. Let's go to tables. Look, this is a table. Now these are things to know, so we'll go one by one. Whatever we need to know, we'll go one by one through it. This is a table where you can see these are customers. This is the sales representative who have sold a product. There's a product ID related to each product, and they've sold a product to this particular customer. Okay, this is the sales rep that sold a product to this customer. This is the sales rep that sold a product to this customer, and so on which date and of what amount. So this is a whole sales data. And now what we want to know is what do we do with this basically. The first thing is how to make a table and what is the benefit of making a table. So you'll ask me that doesn't it look like a table already? Isn't it already a table? Yes, it's a table, but it's still not recognized by Excel as a table. How do we do that? How do we make it recognize? This is how we do it. We select this whole data set, and then we go to insert, and then we click over here table. You'll see this pop-up coming up, which shows the data for your table is in this following range. We just need to say, okay, my table has headers. If your table has headers, then click on this, leave this on the check button. If it doesn't have headers, just cancel this. But my table has headers, so I'll press okay. And this is what happens. It turns into a table. Now, what is the benefit of making this into a table? For example, I add a new data over here. Let's say there's a particular customer whose name is what's a good name to give? Let's say Shiva. The moment I click here, do you see that the table is already included this inside the data set? If for example, we also add one more name, let's say Dhoni. Look at this. The table by itself recognizes that there's a new element being added, so it goes to the next line immediately. As opposed to when we didn't have a table, if it does not recognize, the formatting won't be copied. Okay. Now over here, let's do something interesting. Let's see more benefits. Let's cancel this. Let's see more benefits. Let me put a formula over here where it's equals summation, that is the sum of the elements inside this amount. Let me click this. I think you have to select all the data. Yes, look, once we select all this table, it shows equal sum, table 4 and amount. So table 4 is the name which they've arbitrarily given to this particular table. And they've also said that we're selecting this amount column and then we are doing the summation of this. So we can close this and we said equals. Now the advantage of this is, for example, we start adding data to this 4566, 3455. From here, you can see that it increases, it changes the number over here. But even if we add a new data over here, so let's say 1200, it takes us as part of the table and this gets updated. So this considers this as a part of this table and the summation gets updated as well. We don't need to change the formula for it. This is the benefit. The next thing is filter table. What do we do? How to filter? We just click on this arrow and we have very many options on how to filter this table. So we can sort A to Z, that is ascending, then descending, etc. There's a customized sort. Many things are there over here, which I'll not go into right now because I have not been taught yet, or we might not need to go through this as well. Most of us know what this does. Now the third thing is table style options. What are the style options? We can click on this. Let's go to table design. In table design, you can see this option, style options. We can click on this. Now here there are many options over here. What do we do? Let's say, for example, we want banded columns. This is how banded columns look. If we deselect this, I think this is all right. Here it's written banded rows. What is banded rows? If we deselect this, the bands go away. All right. So it depends on what you really want. But I like it this way. Let's click on this header row, deselect this, the header goes away. We can again click that for the header row to come back, etc. Then there's a total row. Look, there's a total that comes below. So we can have all of these things as styling of the table over here, and these are all helpful when we have big amount of data. The next thing that we want to see over here is slicer, and how do we use that? So now we have a table over here with a lot of data. Sometimes we need to sort this data or use a particular slice of this data set. How do we do that in Excel? Let's see. So here, let's again select this. Let's go to insert. Let's check where's the slicer. Here there's a slicer option. You can see, right? Let's click on this. And now it's asking us what kind of a slicer do we want. Let me say that, okay, I want a slicer where I want to distinguish people or the customers by the person who has sold some product to them, that is by the sales rep. Now you can see there's this box that comes up. And in this box, we can style it a little bit. Okay, now in this box, this is like an option that we have. Let me see who are the customers who are being helped by Amira. If I click on Amira, you can see this table goes to only the people who Amira has sold to. If I go to Dhruv, it shows only the people who Dhruv has sold to. If I go on Manu, it shows only the people who Manu has sold to. If I go on Srikanth, it shows only the people who Srikanth has sold to. This is so interesting, okay? I didn't know this before, by the way. People who know Excel, they know about all of this, but I didn't know this. This is something very interesting. So this is all the things that we wanted to know about Excel for now. We don't need anything else for now. In the first 6 lectures, that is. Tomorrow I'll learn more and I'll come back with more things that you need to know on Excel for your MBA. That is pre-MBA preparation. That's all. But tell me something. If you've converted your dream B school, comment it down below. If you're still waiting for the results, comment that down below as well. I'm waiting for my results as well. Once it's out, I'll make a video on it. And let's just do our best before joining our B schools. All the best. Namaskaram.